What's up, everyone? This is my most recent world record speedrun of the Playable Regigigas Hack for Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, performed in 15 minutes and 23 seconds. This time is a full minute improvement from my previous world record that I am super happy about. I was not expecting that much improvement at all. And this faster time comes from better boss fights as well as greater optimization of character strengths, which you will see what I mean by that as we progress further through the run. Now, Regigigas' fastest form of movement is simply by running, just holding forward. He doesn't really have much movement tech, like other Castlevania protagonists. So a lot of the speed optimizations are going to come from maneuvering around enemies and damage boosting through them, as well as platforming optimizations like you see here in the Demon Guest House. In terms of boss fights, Regigigas packs quite a punch, but there are a lot of aspects of RNG in the boss fights that can disrupt the run and make things go a lot slower. But on that front, we got very, very good RNG this run, which I am extremely happy about. Now, we also play as Alucard through this run, because Alucard is required to beat the game. Though Regigigas has most of the movement techniques required to get through the castle, he does not have the ability to fly that Alucard has. And that's performed through high jumping or transforming into a bat, like in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So, to unlock the end of the run, the Abyss, the final area, we need to get to the top of the castle and defeat Aguni. We fight a total of 5 bosses throughout the run, those being Zephyr, Aguni, Death, Abaddon, and Somacula at the end. Of those, the most frustrating is probably Aguni. Aside from that, RNG can certainly come into effect in the other boss fights, but not really too much as in the Aguni fight. Right there, I know it looks like we lost some time running into that wheel enemy and damage boosting through him, but the alternative is that he rolls the other way and kind of disrupts us through the entire room. So if that happens, we have to kill him before that happens, and it's slower because you have to watch a level up animation. So there is an aspect of RNG when enemies are concerned in this run, as well as bosses. It's just a little more noticeable with the boss fights because some of their patterns are very egregious for going fast. So Regigigas has 4 sub-weapons, one of which is a double punch, which is the fastest way to deal damage to bosses as Regigigas. Another is an uppercut that auto-cancels when you land during the animation. The third one is protect, takes no damage, and this is done in the form of the Final Guard ability from the base game. And the last one is a holy attack done by summoning Arceus that we won't see at all through this run. This is Zephyr, the first boss. We're just going to keep double punching him. When he poses like that and flashes, he's actually doing a counter where he stops time and lunges forward to slash us. We want to prevent that from happening as much as possible because stopping time obviously makes us lose time in the actual speedrun. So he goes down quick. We're going to grab that warp room so that we can warp back up here once we defeat Aguni. And now we're moving through the remainder of the clock tower to the pinnacle. We haven't needed to use Alucard for movement yet. We've just switched to him for a couple instances of faster traversal. But in the pinnacle, we will need his high jump ability. The pinnacle, there are a lot of enemies that we have to damage boost through, but it's really not too big of a deal. We lose a lot of health, but as you can see, Regigigas has a lot of health. Some enemies don't even do that much, only dealing 1 damage. Here I get the great forward damage boost so that we don't have to worry about getting knocked back through this room. I'm very happy about that. And we use the uppercut to get past these guillotine enemies. The upwards headbutt that you see me doing every now and then is Regigigas' high jump, which is basically just a third jump for Regigigas with a hitbox. It really does not function like any other high jumps, aside from maybe Julius's in base Dawn of Sorrow. So here we switch to Alucard. Right here, this is just for faster movement, but in this room, we need to use his high jump to get up. Regigigas cannot make it up there. It is impossible to beat this game with just Regigigas, unfortunately. He sort of shares the spotlight with Alucard throughout this run. We're coming up on the second boss here, being Aguni, and he can really waste your time depending on what patterns you get. So I hope things go well as we get through here. Strike a pose as he launches his first attack. and get the hell out of the way for that meteor attack. So we're going to be using the double punch to smack his hands here. It actually hits 3 times because of overlapping hitbox-hurtbox shenanigans. And when he does this move where he spits fireballs down at us, that is the most optimal RNG because he's staying in place and we have lots of time to lay some double punches into him. When he swoops down like this, Regigigas can only dodge that attack at a very specific positioning. He has to duck, and Regigigas' crouch does not lower his hurtbox by very much at all, so it's most optimal to switch to Alucard for that. When he slams his hands down on the ground like this, that can be a little bit frustrating to deal with too, and the biggest time loss is when he launches himself up into the air and does this meteor attack. So we had to damage boost through a lot of stuff, and we took a lot of hits, but that was actually a fairly quick fight since we got those 2 fireball cycles near the beginning. Love when that happens. We're going to stop at this nearby save room to fill up on health and MP before we continue, and then use Alucard to maneuver back through the pinnacle to a warp room so that we can get back up to the top of the clock tower. Now that Aguni is defeated, we can get through the Mine of Judgment, where we will fight Death, and then the final area, the Abyss. I'm very happy with this clean Alucard movement here. Only really a few stopping points that have been time losses for me. Previously, I went through this part as Regigigas, but it is significantly faster just to maneuver through the pinnacle when you're going backwards as Alucard. That being said, we are going to switch back to Regigigas near the end here, so that we can damage boost through this room again the other way. I'm very, very happy with those damage boosts. It's quite easy to accidentally get knocked back the wrong way, just like that. But here's the warp room. We're going to warp straight back to the clock tower, and then from the clock tower, we will go to the condemned tower. It's certainly an interesting route through the castle, because this is very different from how the base game is played, and we're skipping lots and lots of bosses. We only fight Zephyr because he is in the way to get to Aguni. So yeah, these should be some familiar rooms. The zombies in this room are in addition to this hack. There aren't actually any infinitely spawning zombies in this particular room in the base game. The castle layout is modified ever so slightly for different traversal and shaking things up for Regigigas. Again, got some good RNG with that wheel enemy. We want him to roll towards us so that we don't have to stop and kill him. There's the area text that we missed because we came in through the backside of the area. I think that's a funny quirk. And here's the Condemned Tower. This is the last Castlevania song that we'll be hearing in the run. The rest of it is going to be Pokemon music, which is a very, very nice touch. There I accidentally took some damage from that skeleton ape enemy. Not really a big deal, but these flea men really messed with me. Right now the suspense is really building, because once you get a good run after Aguni, it's a matter of good movement in the Abyss and good boss fights from here on out. So I am pretty nervous. Here's the Mine of Judgment. We're going to be descending through this area. This is pretty satisfying to watch back. It's a very easy area to get through. The damage boosts are very consistent. You don't have to worry about accidentally taking too much damage and dying. And you've also got this music to get your blood pumping. This is the Elite Four theme from Pokemon Black and White, which I think is a fantastic track. So as we get closer to death, I want to make a note that if Regigigas does not kill a boss, there is an oddity with his stats where I think leveling up as Alucard does not give the stat increases to Regigigas. So that is a huge detriment. If we kill the boss with death and don't get the level ups for Regigigas, then getting through the Abyss is absolutely nightmarish. It is just not going to happen. So what we do is we use Alucard to take down the first phase of death, because there are quite a few attacks that are nigh impossible for Regigigas to dodge. The Alucard sword auto-cancels when you land on the ground, so you can do a short hop and swing twice, then land and not have any sort of lag. Regigigas' normal attack does not auto-cancel, but his uppercut does. So here's Death's second phase. We got fairly good RNG this time around. He did the spinning scythe move. Bumping into his hurt box can be a little bit troublesome. This move you pretty much have to switch to Alucard to dodge. These giant skulls are just too big for Regigigas to be able to meaningfully get out of the way of. And this other attack where Death moves such that you're positioned between him and his scythe, Regigigas can't dodge that either. You have to change to Alucard and high jump out of the way. But yeah, that's that fight. Regigigas gets the killing blow, and we're maneuvering to the final area, the Abyss. Once again, we're going to stop at the save room to resupply our health and MP, and this is the first instance where you'll see Protect. So we're going to guard from some of these fire pillars and damage boost through some of them. Protect's animation lasts for a very long time and can't be cancelled unless you switch to another sub-weapon. So for those two fire pillars, you have to Protect, quickly switch away and then back to Protect, and then Protect again, so that you do it all in quick succession without ever stopping moving forward. It's a very, very cool technique to learn about. This Valkyrie enemy is in the way, so we pretty much have to kill her rather than damage boost through since she's in an awkward position. But yeah, the Abyss is sectioned off into different areas. You can see the area transitions from these skull rooms. So we just made it through the second area, the sort of weird mud area. Now we're in Area 3, and the next one features Abaddon, the fourth boss. Not really too much to worry about when it comes to damage boosting here. Regigigas has plenty of bulk at the moment. In this final guard enemy, we're going to use Alucard's Bat transformation to fly over him. It's a lot quicker than killing him, and it's actually he's too wide to damage boost through. Regigigas just keeps getting knocked back. Okay, so just a couple rooms left before Abaddon, and Abaddon's boss RNG is probably the most difficult to contend with aside from a Goonie, so I'm hopeful that we get good patterns here. You really don't want to take too much damage from him because you don't want to spend a whole lot of time backtracking to this save room to heal. It should just be a straight shot after Abaddon to the end of the Abyss, which, depending on how many hits you take, can be quite scary. So lots of double punches. This is a good first pattern, the locusts that fly straight ahead. A little bit of awkward positioning there. I switch to Protect so that I don't take a bunch of damage from that incoming locust swarm. I want to stay closer to the center of the room so that we have a lot of maneuverability. A little bit of awkward positioning now that I'm watching this back, but our damage is fairly consistent, so it's not too much to worry about. As an aside, I love this room. I think the lone tree in the background and the tall grass and the freaky faces on the sides of the room make it really, really cool. Just this sort of random image in the midst of like a weird, hellish area. But yeah, we end the Abaddon fight with about half of our health left. And this room is damage tanking central. These pink Malakota enemies with the spears, they will fuck you up in this room. So we lure them over to the right there so that they don't bump us as we try to get up through this green transition. And this really, really hurts. I accidentally hit that Stolas enemy twice when I didn't really need to hit him at all. So I'm thinking the run is basically over at this point. I think it's just, I'm gonna die no matter what. So I switched to Alucard for the easier maneuverability for the end of the Abyss, and fly over that Iron Golem enemy, fly over this giant slug. And it's basically a wrap if I touch any of the spikes in this room or the next one. I really am not hopeful at all. Like, I need to stay as Alucard because Regigigas is too big to not take any damage from all the shit that's coming up. I'm just desperately trying to get past this succubus enemy, ending up slamming into the ceiling over and over again and getting knocked back, but we make it to the save room, albeit a little slowly, and we switch back to Regigigas and enter the final boss room. So this is Somacula. He's slightly modified from his incarnation in base Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. That corpse weed will spit poison projectiles down at us, but only faces right, so if we stay on the left side, it can't touch us at all. And Somacula himself will throw spears at us, which we have to jump over. The first phase goes relatively quickly. I think that was a 3 or 4 cycle. And because Somacula has such a huge body in his second phase, we switched to Alucard and used the fast swing speed of his sword to take advantage of that and just absolutely shred through him. This is faster than Regigigas' double slash, so this is pretty much a victory lap for the end of the run. Not much damage boosting necessary. So yeah, I was really not expecting to get a time so much lower than 16 minutes, which was my goal time, like 15:50 something. I think with really immaculate movement and really good boss RNG and very good execution during the boss fights, I think a sub 15 time will be possible. I'm not sure if I'll end up going for that. I'm satisfied with this time for right now. But that being said, thank you so much for watching.